The high point of cheesemaking is breaking it up and taking it out. This needs care. The harp is always drawn through the cheese mass following the same paths. This is the only way to ensure that the cream cheese is always reduced to the same size crumbs, so that the quality of the cheese remains constant. "50 litres of milk yield a cheese wheel weighing about 5 kilos. At the beginning of the Alp season, Andreas Itten produces 24 cheeses daily. Toward the end, just 12 every 2 days. But the time saved is relative. The working steps are the same whether the quantity of milk is small or large, and the work in the cheese cellar increases with each cheese produced.
The dairyman always used to put the corners of the cheesecloth in his mouth, and this age-old tradition is still kept up today. But the hydraulic lift makes taking it out much easier. At last, it's time. The cream cheese is taken out of the copper vat. The whey is left behind. In former times, workers on the Alps might have taken a bath in it, but now that's frowned upon for reasons of hygiene. But the whey forms an excellent basis for pig feed. The meat of Alpine pigs is considered especially nutritious and is in great demand because Alpine pigs are fed a healthy diet. On the Calfeisen Alp, the farmers who own the pigs pay a lump sum, as for dairy cows or young cattle. And Andreas Itten, who owns 3 of them, is no exception. The pigs feast on the whey with relish, but for them too, this delicacy starts to run out towards the end of the season.
Andreas Itten is a qualified forester and has completed an agricultural apprenticeship. Later, he would like to take over a farm. Although this is the second time he's been in charge of cheese production on the Calfeisen Alp, at just under 25, he's very young for this responsible job. Timing is extremely important for the quality of the cheese. The sequence of the individual production steps is always the same, in order to maintain the same temperature, humidity, pressure, and so on, each and every day.
Only cheese which is actually produced on an Alp can be sold as Alpine cheese. And that means handmade out of raw milk from cows that can move freely and feed on Alpine pastures. The Calfeisener Alpine cheese meets all these criteria. Cleanliness is an important prerequisite for producing good cheese. The cleaning of milking equipment, buckets and vats is one of Anina Bloom's jobs. The cheese cellar is mainly looked after by Peter Kaufman. The 68-year-old has found a new passion after retirement, and this is his 8th season as an assistant dairyman. Previously, he had worked for the post office for 40 years.
While the volume of milk and cheese production decrease over the summer, the number of cheeses in the cheese cellar grows constantly, and they need to be brought out every day, greased and put away again, a job that requires plenty of energy.
The production of Alpine butter is another task of the dairyman and his assistant. The cream is pasteurized and acidified before it is poured into the butter churn, so that the butter doesn't go rancid. Getting the deep yellow lumps out of the drum can make the heart of even a hardened herdsman beat faster. But then kneading it under cold running water until the last remaining buttermilk is pressed out literally needs a cold-blooded approach, because you can't do it with warm hands. The slabs of butter up here are different to those in a shopping centre. They weigh a kilo, and it takes some skill to prise them out of their time-honoured wooden moulds. Towards the end of July, the cheese cellar is full. The moment has come to taste the young Alpine cheese together with the Alp master and to transport the first 130 cheeses into the valley. A reason to celebrate, especially when the cheese is good.
Each farmer participating is entitled to an amount of cheese corresponding to his cow's milk production. But even the smallest celebration has its price. The additional work over lunch means that the Alpine workers have to give up their usual lunchtime nap.
In the small Alsatian village of Vieux-Ferret, half an hour away from Basel, Bernard Antony runs a very special cheese company. He is considered a cheese expert par excellence, supplying royalty and grand hotels all over the world. He also attracts private cheese enthusiasts. He readily confirms that cheese from freely grazing cows, goats and sheep tastes better than what you get from ones fed in a barn.
It's like night and day. That's why I only buy my hard cheese between spring and autumn. Everything which is tom cheese I buy only during the period when the cattle graze outside.
Bernard Antony calls his profession éleveur de fromage. He buys his cheese from producers and then keeps up to 150 varieties in his cellars until they have fully ripened. Antony grew up in humble circumstances and received no professional training. He eventually found work as a market stall holder. A friend advised him to peddle cheese alongside the socks, bras and chocolate. This proved to be a stroke of luck, because it's how he met the famous food critic Wolfram Siebeck. In the meantime, Siebeck has become one of Bernard Antony's greatest admirers. While his son Robert Antony takes care of orders received, the maître fromager himself advises his customers in his store as well as all over the world. But the alpha and omega of his philosophy is purchasing.